40 minutes in front of these drivers and plenty of opportunities.
But yes, a bit of point of contention, but it doesn't matter now, Ron. We're going green.
Drivers are on their way, and it's a rather convincing start from Joyner. He's going to be leading them complicated. Heading through this bend, it tightens up though before they head off to turn number 8. This is going to be very close.
What is that?
Based off the fact you sound like you sat on a cold toilet seat there, Adam, but that was insane. And Kramer was mega sideways coming out of turn number 8.
That one got me. That one got me.
Look at this conga line. Dun 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 dun. Who was it that came up for the? Oh, that was Tolo coming in.
Most racing drivers don't improve because they don't know exactly what to fix. If you relate to that, this ad is for you. Because I have an online course that solves that. It's called the Motor Racing Checklist. 50 structured lessons that show you exactly how to improve your technique. You stop guessing and you start following a professional system. And if you don't improve in 28 days, you get your money back. This is how 11,000 of our student drivers make progress. Now it's your turn.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. This is round number 6 of this season, coming to you today from Zandvoort. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell. Guido Marzucchi is our producer for today's broadcast. Charles, we're set to round off the first half of the season in style with an absolute gem of a racetrack. Zandvoort, and this new version of the track that was reamped back in 2020 is an absolute gem in the world of both sim racing and real-life motorsports. It's really fun running around here regardless of what kind of car you're running laps here. I think these Formula 4 drivers are in for a good one.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. Thanks for having me in. Going to enjoy this race today. Could be out at Talladega for some big NASCAR event, but rather be here talking about the Formula 4s and spec racers coming up a bit later. It's just too many people out there. 200,000. We'll sit in the comfort of our own home and watch some really good racing today. Yeah, I really like this track since they've revamped it. They've brought it up to the current specification that the real world track is. Got some very, very noticeable corners. Obviously, turn 3, turn 11 with those big areas of bank cornering. It's going to present some interesting opportunities for these drivers. So really looking forward to this race.
And really looking forward to rounding off the first half of the season. A season already that has seen a lot of twists and turns and many different drivers putting in some good performances. I think we'll take a look at the championship points as we are still rather early on into this qualifying session. I say rather early on, 16 minutes already done in this 20-minute long session, but still a bit of time left to go. Here's how the points shake out at the moment. Felix Samoas is your championship leader in the number 31 car, 423 points already on the board. He's had a pretty good season up to this point as a reigning Spec Racer Ford champion. He's doing pretty all right in the Formula cars this year. Trent Kramer is slotted in P2. Sean Doyle, Jason Green, and Rasmus Fori running at your top 5 in the Spec 1 category. So that's how it looks over there with some pretty intense battling. Here is Spec 2, where it has been the story of dominance for Dan Witzak in the 413 car. He's had a lot of wins up to this season. Isn't going to get the season sweep as it was Fernando Afonso in the Fernando Alfonso taking the checkered flag last time out in the 222 car at Knock Hill. Alfonso is currently slotted P2. Dustin Meaden splits the two of them second in the points in Spec 2. Paul Jackson and Fabian Singer running at your top 5 in the Spec 2 category. We're going to take a quick on look over to Masters, where we find Jeff Wubker at the front and Antonio Reese right in tow. Those two have grabbed a couple of wins thus far this season. Wubker at 1, Reese at 2. Those two drivers looking to put on a really good championship battle. Jim Brewster, York Monty, and series admin Stevie Ray running at the top 5 in the Masters points. But that is looking like a really intense battle in that Masters category between Wubker and Antonio Reese. I think we'll do a quick little onboard lap with Greg Hubler. Charles, I'll pass it off to you.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're going to make the run down here into Tarzan. Lovely name for a racing corner. Hard around. And just try to maintain that speed as they head off into this very, very fast-flowing section here. Very S's-like 2. And now into this big high bank corner for 3. You want to carry as much momentum around that corner as you can to get the slingshot out of that high banking down through into 4 and 5. And then up and over these elevation changes through 6 and 7. You could just see how the track just flows through here. So we're working our way through. Very hard corner here. You want to just kind of once again maintain your speed, not carry too much, as we saw with the car in front there. And here we go, and I believe this is turn 8. So we're coming around here, another hard corner, and you see Hooper just gets it loose and loses the rear of the car, and there's a big group coming. He wisely backs up out, and we'll see if we can carry on with this lap. As he's going to jump back to the pits, and we will just abort that final lap. But basically, you've got that chicane coming down just before you get to that final high banked corner here and then back down the front straight. So yeah, the little new segment here that we're going to bring in, and it's aptly named Charlie's Challenges, and we have a nice little graphic for it. As a matter of fact, I think Guido's going to pull it up now. All right, and so yeah, and obviously I'm not seeing it, but hey, so the 3 challenges today are: hey, get into your rhythm early. Like I said, this is a very fast and flowing track. You want to maximize your momentum all the way around through. Step 2, obviously debris factor with the new debris field, updates that iRacing has done. That final chicane before we get to the final corner is going to have dirt and rock all over it. It's going to make that a challenge to get through there cleanly. And finally, attack the pits. The pits entry and pit exit is there's a little bit of a challenge to it, a little bend in the pit entry. The pit exit works its way around to the inside of turn 1. So you want to make sure that you don't lose any hidden seconds there on pit entry and pit exit. So you want to attack those and try and maximize your time through the pit cycle. And that's it.
And I will say, Charles, those are some very good points to raise heading into this race coming up. The pit strategy going to be super vital, but just attacking pit lane and the entry and exit, super vital. That pit exit, it feels like an alleyway whenever you're coming around here. The pit's exiting out on that inside. Another one of the modifications that was made here to Zandvoort when Formula 1 decided to return at the start of the 2020s. They changed that up a little bit. Usually you would just merge in before turn 1, but now you do have that pit exit, which can also give these drivers drivers some pretty nasty penalties as well. Want to avoid that with a 10-foot pole. As here's Alan DeGassis, our current Masters pole sitter, slotted P10 at the present moment. Not a lot of Masters competitors here. Alan DeGassis, Antonio Reese, and Peter Maddox being the only Masters competitors running here at Zandvoort today. Dan Witzak is in pretty much a class all of his own in Spec 2, so that'll look to be his 5th win of this season, unless he gets struck by a falling anvil in this race that we have coming up. That Spec 1 category, though, has been rather interesting up to this point. Felix Mo started the season off with 2 straight wins. That was followed by Rasmus Vori taking 2 straight wins. Ian Joyner won in his series return 1 week ago at Knock Hill, so who knows, we may end up seeing a repeat there. But as we approach the end of this qualifying session, the checkered flag being at for about a minute and a half up to this point, and these drivers just pacing around the track looking to get any more seat time that they possibly can, it's quite fascinating to see the growth of the Weekend Warriors, getting some fantastic names and some fantastic sponsors in the process. And one of the great sponsors that we've had as of recent is actually going to be joining us for the rest of this season, that being Almeida Motorsports Academy.
Most racing drivers don't improve because they don't know exactly what to fix. If you relate to that, this ad is for you. Because I have an online course that solves that. It's called the Motor Racing Checklist. 50 structured lessons that show you exactly how to improve your technique. You stop guessing and you start following a professional system. And if you don't improve in 28 days, you get your money back. This is how 11,000 of our student drivers make progress. Now it's your turn.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. Just heard from the brand new sponsor, the Almeida Racing Academy. We would like to thank Julia Almeida and the entire team for sponsoring the second half of this Formula Ford Weekend Warriors season. And some of the drivers that you see out on track are going to be ones that are part of that exact same crew. And it'll be nice to see them flex their muscles in this race that we have coming up here at Zandvoort. But this qualifying session now officially done and dusted, and we can take a look at the starting grid for the 6th race of this still rather early on championship. Ian Joyner will start from the pole. Kane Lasky set to join him on the front row. Starting in P3 will be Edward Buchanan, the Canadian, in the 5 car. Mikey Pollard will start in 4th. Sammy Hendricks, a driver who I believe I have seen in the past in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, will return to the series starting in 5th, with Dan Witzak, our Spec 2 pole sitter, starting alongside in 6th. Daniel Tufts will start in P7. Felix Samoa's championship leader will start in a somewhat disappointing P8. Mike Sargent and Alan DeGassis rounding out our top 10.
Yep, starting in 11th, we got Juran Rodemaker. I'm hoping I'm getting that right, or at least close. Antonio Reese starts in 12th as we roll on to the second page there. We have Teague Ashburn starting in 13th. Juan Garcia starts in 14th. Michael McConnell in 15th. Jason Green in 16th, Sean Doyle in 17th, Rasmus Vori in 18th, Soren Garretts in 19th, Greg Hubler in P20, and thank you very much, Mr. Thompson.
And looking through the final few starters that we have in this field, I'm not even going to acknowledge it, because if I don't acknowledge it, it will start to go away. Ethan Orr will start in 21st, Chris Montgomery in P22, SMB's very own Mr. Joshua Wilkie will start this race in P23, Peter Maddox will start in 24th. We only have a few more starters left to go in this field. The list continues on with the likes of Andrew Herds in 25th, June Shen in 26th, Andrew Love in the 112 car will start this race in P27, next to Paul Jackson the Brit in 28th. Jason Grider will start in 29th. Kane Halliburton, one of the coaches for Almeida Racing Academy, will start this race in 30th. Russ Telker and Frederick Joss running out your 32 starters set to take the green flag in about a lap's time. We got a full formation lap, so we get to enjoy the calm before the storm before this 40-minute race kicks off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to bring a pit bull next time I come to the broadcast booth just to solve that problem. Yeah, it's going to be a good race. We get to see, we get to see Kane Halliburton, as we mentioned, one of the Academy coaches for us, Almeida Racing Academy. He's decided he's going to kind of do a back-to-front challenge today. He's going to kind of flex that talent out on the track. Once again, this is a good track. It's a pretty wide track for these cars. So I think this is a a good place for some passes to be made. Obviously, once again, you got to get into your rhythm. You got to pick your lines and know how you're going to be able to drive this track. There's lots of different ways to attack this course, so you want to make sure that you're attacking it in the way that is as fast as you can make it work. So obviously we'll watch Kate work his way from the back, and probably he'll get about halfway through, and then the passes will become a little more difficult as he's hitting the sharp end of the stick there. So it'll be fun to watch him work, as well as all the rest of the drivers out there.
We still have a lot of things to talk about heading into this race. Gotta wonder, what sort of pit strategies are these drivers going to try and use? Will we end up seeing some drivers come in for an early stop? Will they maybe delay it a teeny tiny bit? How exactly is turn one going to go as well? I think, we talk about turn one being challenging here. I would say turn two is probably going to be the trouble spot, if we're being completely honest. Charles, I think one of the first Spec Racer for Weekend Warriors broadcast we did together saw a pretty nasty pile up with the Spec Racer Fords coming out of turn two into three. So that may be the actually really challenging section. Turn one may be a walk in the park compared to the corners that follow it.
Well, I mean, turn one is pretty straightforward as far as corners go. Yeah, turn two and then into turn three, because there's so many different ways you can attack turn three with that high bank. You can float it around the top and just try and carry your momentum around, or you can just make that dive down and use the banking to drop and gain a little bit of speed coming out of the corner and maybe go for a pass. So, that's going to be a trouble spot. And then, as we said, that debris, we were watching it in qualifying and in practice, that debris out in that final chicane is going to make navigating that chicane very, very difficult. You can watch them just how they're just kind of getting in there and then figuring out that they don't have quite the grip that they would expect and having to kind of work their way through. It's nice and clean now, but it will only take about one lap before somebody drives through that gravel.
And once we start to see the gravel get spread all around this racetrack, I will start to get bad flashbacks to a couple of seasons ago when we were running at Brands Hatch. If anyone remembers that race and turn two being turned into a rally special stage, oh boy, that was an experience to end all experiences. This is one of the most bizarre corners in the world of racing as far as I'm concerned, but a super enjoyable run. The Ari Leindyke turn number 14, named after the Indy 500 winner two times in 1990 and 1997. And the high banks around here used to be a completely flat corner, still rather challenging, but these drivers are going to be hauling the mail, heading down that start-finish straightaway off into turn number one. This is going to be a fun race. 40 minutes of racing action lie in front of these drivers, and only time will tell who's going to be the one to grab that checkered flag. Ian Joyner leading us to green. The green flag is out, and the drivers are on their way. And as they gun it and spread out all throughout this field, it's Joyner going to hold on to a clean lead. Some drivers going four wide already, a little bit farther in the back. Are you kidding me? Three wide for the final podium spot. These drivers clearly do not fear death. And let's see how they make their way up through turn number two into three. It's clean for now. Keyword being for now. Looking through this field, heading their way out of two into turn number three. The outside line through this high banked turn going to be super vital, but if you run a little bit wide, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. As we see, that's Michael McConnell running off into the dirt, coming out of turn number three onto this back flat out blast of the lap. It's not straight at all. You are turning all through there, and it's also a bit of a choke point for these racers. But Ian Joyner, the driver starting from the pole for the second week in a row, looking to grab his second win in a row as he leads them down into turn number 8.
Oop, there's a spinner right there. That is Witzak, I think. This Witzak, our Spec 2 leader. Oh, just at the wrong spot, just in the middle of the track, nowhere for these people to go as they're coming over the crest of that hill. And Witzak lost it and then just got hit many, many times.
And Dan Witzak, the driver of the 413 car, who's been an indomitable force in that Spec 2 category, he's got to be on the back foot massively right at the drop of the green flag. I believe he's had to tow back to pit lane. That rear suspension damage, one of those rear tires were completely snapped off. There's no way you can run it around here with any sort of damage like that. So that's going to be a real blow to your top running driver in Spec 2. At the front of the field, though, it is still incredible. We're seeing Ian Joyner, who I mentioned a few moments ago, starting from the pole position for the second week in a row. He's the first driver to grab 2 poles this season in Spec 2. First driver to get first driver to finally break up that streak of different pole sitters for every single race. And Joyner at the front now, building that gap between himself and Kane Lasky, who's down to P2, as Buchanan dropping down to 4th in the 5 machine.
Yeah, and so far it's pretty static up front as they're working their way around the second lap. We'll go back and say that Whitsack towed, also our buddy Josh Wilkie towed, and Juan Garcia also with a tow.
And as we've seen a lot throughout some of the past couple of seasons here in the Weekend Warriors, our buddy Mr. Joshua Wilkie, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. Another unfortunate moment for him. They were joined in the pits by Juan Garcia and Peter Maddox. 28 drivers still out there on the racetrack, a few retirees already. I think all those drivers are still in the session.
Ooh.
As we take a look at a replay to see that big stacking up. You can see Wilkie pulling off the track. That's Dan Whitsack with that massive rear suspension damage. That right rear tire completely broken off. No drive when that happens. Oh my good Lord, that was a lot of drivers piling in.
I was going to say, we're trying to figure out the start of all this. Is we're going to keep hitting the replay button and finding the start of the calamity. And you see Whitsack, looks like he got off the track on his own and just ends up spinning right back in the middle of the track, and he's just become a pinball at that point. It's just, nowhere for these guys to go as they're cresting that hill, trying to carry into that next corner, and there's a car sideways in the middle of the track. Just tough break for those guys.
Yeah, tough moment for all of those competitors. There are certain points of this track when you realize that despite it being completely overhauled back in 2020, Zandvoort is still at its core an old school racetrack. There's been racing here for many, many moons, dating all the way back to the late 40s or early 50s, if my memory serves me correctly. They've been running races around Zandvoort for quite some time, and this track layout that we have right now, it's not one that was built to modern safety specifications. It had to be upgraded to get to grade 1 certification from the FIA. So that's part of the reason why in certain points it feels like you're running around an alleyway, especially coming out of this turn number 3. The Hugenholtz bend, named after the man who designed this track many moons ago. Down this flat app blast through 4, 5, and 6 into turn number 7. It is such a unique section of this racetrack. And if you get it even a slight bit wrong through there, the consequences are going to be catastrophic.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, as we're just kind of riding on board, you can start seeing the people that are just testing the track limits are starting to bring that debris onto the track, and it's not just in that chicane, but there's other corners as well where the litter's starting to be brought back into the racetrack, and that's going to make things, as you see the cars just off in the background there, somebody coming into the gravel. So that's just going to make that just that much more difficult as we go through. Look at that. You see Joyner dragging some in as he cuts that just a little too finely and gets his left side tires over into the gravel. It's just going to make this very, very difficult. The further we go, the worse that's going to get. And but I love the way that Joyner is attacking this final corner. If you watch him, he's just, as he comes off that high bank, he's dropping down toward the inside of the track. He's letting gravity help him out as he just manages to just build that speed up coming out of that corner. And it's just really fun to watch. It's very NASCAR-like the way he attacks the exit of that big high bank. Whoa.
Holy cow. That was Greg Hubler in the 099 car coming to blows to Soren Garrett's and that start finish straight away off into turn number 1. They're still side by side, and Huber in all of that gonna get that move done, hang down to turn number 2 in through 3 to slip his way up into P14. That could have ended an absolute disaster. And in all of that, Michael McConnell in the number 62 car now trying to get a move done on Garrett's. They're side by side through into turn number 5 through 6 right now. Garrett's gonna withstand that challenge, and look at the likes of Rasmus Vori and Ethan Orr right behind as well. Rasmus Vori in that 199 car already has 2 wins up to this point in the season, but this is not a good performance from the driver of that 199 machine in P17. Rather uncharacteristic, but again, we have a rather stacked field here at Zandvoort. So the newcomer here into the Weekend Warriors, coming up to the halfway point of his very first season with us, struggling here at the Zandvoort.
Yeah, it's got, we talked about it a little bit, but not that much. This is a very Spec 1 heavy race today. We've only got 5 Spec 2s and 3 Master drivers in the grid. which is very odd. Usually it's pretty evenly split. But not today. It seems like only the top end drivers want to go out and try and attack this course.
Yeah, and I can't necessarily blame them. Zandvoort is a really challenging track in the world of iRacing. It's one where it takes you quite a while to really get up to 100%. You can be good, but it takes a while to be great. Here's a great move from Daniel Tuff, saying down that start-finish straightaway, off into turn number 1, looking to get the move done on Ian Joyner to take the race lead around the outside through the first corner. The number 34 car dipping 2 wheels off into the dirt on corner exit. Still side by side, down into turn number 2. Joyner got to lick the stamp and send and get the move done on Tuffs as he slips back up in tow. Joyner was briefly under pressure there, but shaking it off like a bad case of the fleas.
Yeah, absolutely. He did make a good run down into turn 1 and just ran out of racetrack, basically. Just could not get that move completed before they got out into turn 2.
Was not close enough to get that overtake done. Daniel Tuff still within striking distance. Kane Lasky and Mikey Pollard so involved in that battle as well. The front 10 all involved in their own little pack. We got packs and small little cliques forming all throughout this field. Here's another one. We saw this flare up involving Soren Garrett's not terribly long ago. He's involved in a big hornet's nest as it stands at the present moment. Here's a small little duo. That's Chris Montgomery and Kane Halliburton in the number 22 car. Kane Lasky briefly having a connection issue. He's still out on the racetrack in that 09 car, briefly dropping down the running order. That gave me a bit of a panic attack as I saw that going on, but Lasky's still running strong, still running smooth in P3. Lasky, a very fast driver here in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, turned some heads a couple of seasons ago. He's back and back with a vengeance, running in third and trying to size up a move, unless Mikey Pollard has anything to say about right behind. Those two cars rather close.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty tight pack up here at the front. Still a nice 10-car train that are working and just kind of staying in line. But you can see as Joyner moves down to the bottom of the track, coming out of that corner, you're starting to see people getting good runs out of that corner behind him and trying to make moves down the front straight, just not enough to can't quite get the deal done.
Yeah, these drivers, as it stands presently, I think they've reached the point where they're starting to take it a bit easy, thinking about those pit stops. As Russ Telker, speaking of it, he's come down pit lane, the 260 car. Something's going on with Felix Samoa, though. He's dropping down the running order. There he is, very slow on that far inside line off through turn number 3. He's got to try and get out of harm's way, but something is going on with him. Heading down into turn number 2, was involved in that front pack fight, but something has gone awry. Let's take a look at it here, Charles.
Yep, and getting a little blockage there from so we're on the inside or outside, and just he just tries to cut over and clip that car. He was making a move around and just too much steering input there. Was carrying too much speed in the corner and just kind of lost the rear a little bit. Did a good job not to hit anybody, and everybody else did a good job to avoid him.
Yeah, I was just going to say, was there actually contact made between those two competitors? It certainly looked very close, and if there was contact, it was probably a bit of netcode contact. Gonna take a look at another replay to see what exactly happened here. You can see Samoa's getting a little bit spooked, having to dip out to the outside, heading off through turn number 1. And here we go down into the corner, and yeah, just lost it all on his own. I figured it was just too much for there to be actual contact. Nonetheless, though, doesn't matter, contact or otherwise, the result is still the same for Samoa. He has dropped down like a rock, finds himself in 16th currently.
Yeah, it's a big mistake. Although not any damage that will affect him, he's going to have some work to do to make up that time that he lost. As we see, Lasky still looks like he had a little bit of internet connection problems, a little blink there going down the front stretch.
Yeah, nothing that a quick little call to the cable company with maybe a couple of expletives can't solve. Here's a moment for Peter Maddox in the 927 car. I think he was very slow on pit exit. Right. And here's a moment for Chris Montgomery in the 133. This is heading off through the mid-sector down into turn number 9. That's a corner that I feel like I can never get right for the life of me. Here's another one that I can't get right, and Montgomery losing it down to the turn 10 hairpin.
Yeah, it's a tough little set of corners. It's just flat. I mean, there's no camber to help you, and if you just take too much speed, you're not going to get any kind of assistance from the track, and you're just going to end up losing the rear of the car. That's what happened to Montgomery.
You know, turn 10 around here, it reminds me the old version of the final corner of turn number 14 before they put the banking in. There's really no reference. It's basically just like driving on a sheet of paper. You don't really have anything where it's like, okay, here's the apex, here's where I need to go. No, hang through turn 10, it feels like you are completely blind running around there. It also feels like the angle of the turn changes every single time I run around there, albeit very good reason why I'm behind the microphone instead of behind the wheel, because I, for the life of me, cannot get that corner right. Either I hit the curb too bad on the outside, I drift wide and hit the gravel, I spin, doesn't matter. I think if I was a driver, part of the Alameda Racing Academy, I would probably be able to get a good run hanging off your turn 10.
I'm sure he could help you out with that. Absolutely. Swelio's, I've had a little bit of interaction with him, and it's a really nice kid, and he's very, very intelligent and a great driver, obviously, you know, to go from sim racing to professional racing, as we've talked about with other guys who have been around us, Ron, you know, that kid named Burkhard, you know, of course, I think he had already had some, you know, karting experience, but the sim didn't help. It didn't hurt him at all, as we see cars coming now into the pits.
And that was Jason Green, who I believe that may have been his second run through the pits. So something has gone on with Jason Green. He's being joined in pit lane by Felix Samoas. Those two who did battle last season in the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors for the championship. Not doing so well here in this Formula Ford race. They found themselves in P25 and P26 respectively. There they are, in fact, exiting pit lane is Kane Lasky. Still doing with connection issues, but Samoas stopped on exits. I think he probably picked up a penalty and just said, you know what, screw it, I'm just switching my attention to the SRFs.
Yeah, maybe so. I am kind of curious. We'll have to check in with Felix in between the races and find out what went on there. But I don't know. Maybe he just felt like that something happened during his pit stop, and he was going to have to, you know, made a mistake or something like that. Maybe either didn't, you know. I don't know. Well, we won't speculate. But he did pull over and just go back to the pits. I think that's it for him today. And we did see Jason Green coming out of the pits as well. So Jason, he's usually one of those guys that runs to the end of the race. So maybe he feels like an undercut might be to his advantage today. So we might have to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, there is still a decent amount of drivers I want to keep my attention on. I will say, as oh boy, we have more drivers saying that now's the time to pit. Rasmus Vore and Kane Halliburton being the drivers that come into the pits this time by. There they are, running in P16 and P17. I mentioned how Rasmus Vore hasn't had the best run in this race up to this point. I think there has been another moment for SMB colleague Mr. Joshua Wawuki, this time heading down into turn number 2. And is it similar to what we saw for Samoa's? No, actually, it's a dive into turn 3. Those inside overtakes don't work, and that just about proves it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it works if you keep the car down at the bottom until you're clear. You know, I kind of mentioned that earlier. It's that corner invites different lines, and you just kind of saw that that green car thought that he had a chance, as we see Jus working his way through and bringing more of that gravel onto the track, and the gravel that was already there says, nope, you're going to have to turn around and do it this way. So, yeah, the debris playing a factor already, as you could see. And, yeah, it's tough. You know, that's, once again, that we kind of mentioned that turn 3 being gives people the, or at least the thought of an opportunity of making a move to the inside, and just didn't quite work out for Josh that time.
And what we just saw from Juice is a bit of a quintessential case of the iRacing off-track physics pain that has been introduced with these new gravel physics and all that sorts. The best way I can describe it, when you rejoin the racetrack after a trip through the gravel trap, I'm going to hold off on that stupid analogy, is side-by-side between Tufts and Joyner. Tufts having a whole head of speed hang down that start-finish straightaway. Got to try and take the lead, but Joyner deep into the braking zone through turn number 1 to get back alongside. Tufts holding on to that outside line, and let's see how it's going to shake out for him. He was so close in his challenge earlier on, but wasn't able to get the move done on Joyner. Joyner, he's feeling more pressure now than he ever had. has. This is still a good opportunity for Tufts. But now look at Mikey Pollard in the 9 car slipping by to try and jump up to P2. He may have a run on Joyner as well, heading down this back flat out blast into turn number 7. Will we see the 9 go for a move on the 8? He's certainly looking for it down the inside. Not close enough. Tufts. He went for it, and it did not work at all. And not only did he not get the lead, he actually lost out on P2. Mikey Pollard pouncing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great move by Pollard to take advantage of that as Tufts went low to try and work his way around. And you could just see the momentum he lost through the corner. And Joyner was able to just power out of that turn 3 and keep the lead. And Pollard went with him and dropped Tufts back down to 3rd position.
As we take a look at another angle of, actually, this is a different moment for Jose.
Yep.
That is heading down to the exact same section that he went off earlier on. I was going to say before we saw that front pack fight really start to flare up, when you go off through the gravel and try and rejoin the track and go full speed into the next corner, it's basically like sticking a rocket pack on your back, putting on roller skates, and then going down a bowling lane. You have absolutely no control of what's going on, and frankly, you will be scared half to death when it happens. That is a very bizarre analogy, maybe the strangest I've ever said in my entire time doing broadcasting. I don't think there's anyone tuning into this stream who's ever gone down a bowling alley on roller skates with a rocket pack strapped to their back. But if anyone has, I think they can attest to the fact that it is a very similar experience to running through the gravel and going through a very fast corner here on iRacing.
Have you been watching Roadrunner cartoons again, Ron? I'm just kind of curious.
Oh, it's funny. I was actually joking with my father a couple of days ago, saying that if we ever hit the millionaire lottery, we need to repaint the garage door to basically look like a Wile E. Coyote. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a tunnel.
Yep, exactly. Yep, I completely agree. That seems like a good way to spend money that you just received. But anyway, we'll get back to the race here as we're still back in this front battle. You see Tufts just kind of still sitting there in 3rd. He's got Pollard and Joyner ahead, and they're looking for opportunity. So far, Joyner's done a good job of just kind of running the defensive line, going down through 1 to 3, and just obviously has figured out that there's not going to be it's not going to be an easy way to get around him as long as he stays up on that high side through 3. So, be interested to see if these guys, if there's maybe some pit strategy that gets put in play to maybe get these guys out in front of Joyner, and maybe they can flip the script on him.
We continue to see this at the. As we continue to see this race develop, again, a good point in our ear from our producer, Guido Marzucchi, saying that some of the pit times that we've seen, lots of different drivers having their own sorts of calls there. As at the front of the field, Pollard trying to get a move done on Joyner around the outside, down into turn number 1. Joyner has played that defensive line to absolute perfection, but I feel like it may be a bit too much to bite here with Pollard around the outside, stuck on the outside, and got hung out to dry. Daniel Tufts going to get that move done back, and you can see Pollard on that inside line. It is a bowl heading off through turn number 3. On that inside line, there is no banking, and when you hit that, you basically slide to the outside. So very lucky for Pollard, the fact he was able to hold on to that race car, much less remain inside the top 5, but a challenge for the lead that resulted in him dropping down to 4th. Ian Joyner at this point is probably feeling really good about his defensive driving, as we've now hit the halfway mark in this race. I want to say, seeing some messages in the YouTube chat. Firstly, Felix Samoa letting us know that he sped on pit exit, and that's part of the reason why he had to tow out of this race and just decided to call it a day. He will be running in that Spec Racer Ford race later on this afternoon. And Michelle Lynn, one of the drivers in the Formula V Weekend Warriors, and just a all-around fan here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, letting us know that she was late to the stream because she was at a bowling alley going down the lane with a rocket pack attached to her back.
It's good to hear from Michelle, and I'm glad she's enjoying the commentary. As we're on board here with with Sargent running in P7. Nice battle, 4-car battle here between himself and Rodemaker, Hendricks and Reese. Is the back half of this lead group that just jumped into the pits there. Is that Reese that jumped in?
That is.
Ooh, that was a very
Reese.
that's why when you say attack the pits, that's how you attack the pits. So just jumped in last second, carried as much speed as he had managed to muster into pit entry. Hopefully he did not get caught speeding there on his way in. Oh no!
Kane Lasky and Edward Buchanan, I believe, have come to blows heading off into turn number 2.
Oh.
And Lasky going to spin around yet again. That's going to bring some gravel into turn number 3. And that is not going to be music to the ears of these competitors at all. Kane Lasky has decided to call it a day. At the front of the field is Joyner and Tufts, covered by nothing, heading down into turn number 7. But what in the world happened there involving here at one point, albeit very briefly, race leader of Kane Lasky? Let's take a look at it here side by side down into the corner. And he got hit big time.
Yeah, just miscommunication there between the cars. I think the car that was behind, that might have been Sargent, just missed the, just wasn't prepared. I was Buchanan, I'm sorry. Just not prepared for the braking that Lasky was doing. I think Lasky might have been a little bit offline and thought he had to brake a little earlier to get back down into the apex of the corner, and just contact made, and that was probably the end of the race for those guys. At least challenging for a win for sure.
Oh, and Antonio Reese has had a moment as well in the 914 car. He's dropping down the running order. Saw him and that very quick call to come into the pits. That was a last-second decision for sure, and it looked like he had a whole head of speed heading down in there. I wonder if the 914 potentially picked up any sort of penalty as a result of that run through the pits. I'm going to double-check to see if there's any outstanding black flags. No, he's just decided to call it a day, so not sure what is going on with him. As at the front of the field, Joyner and Tufts fighting yet again. Daniel Tufts in that number 34 car has been relentless in his challenges. He had to grab a win thus far this season in the Spec 1 category, but the driver of the number 34 car, who's always quick in these Formula Ford races, whether it be in officials or here in the Weekend Warriors, really trying to flex his muscles. Getting past Joyner would be a fantastic feat, considering how Joyner was basically holding an alien status last season as Montgomery with a spin through turn 13.
Yeah, and Montgomery just, I think, decided to tow it back to the pits and call it a day himself. So having a rough day, we already saw him involved in a couple of spins. So definitely not becoming one with the track, as they say. So just a rough day, not being able to get his rhythm going, and struggle a little bit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate nonetheless. This track, as I said earlier on, it's one that you kind of have to progress through it in stages. It's not a track where you just have a continuous gain. It's like, okay, you go from 0 to 100% on a gradual path. Here, it's like you take steps up. So you go from absolutely having zero confidence here, then go to 10, then to like 25, then you go up into the 30s and 40s, then you're in 50, then you probably go to 75, and then that last step to get up to 100 is super, super tough to try and achieve. Many drivers, even in real life, if you ask them what they think about Zandvoort, they can probably tell you with confidence that it's a track they know, it's a track that they like, but it's not one that they're always 100% confident in.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. Like I said, this is very much a rhythm track, and if you just can't get into your rhythm with some of these corners, obviously you're going to struggle a little bit. As we see Rodemaker coming into the pits now for his stop, and I can absolutely see that, where you just kind of take baby steps in your progression with this track. As they just see them working their way through 3. And just carrying that momentum. Joyner's done a really good job of being able to just maximize his momentum from basically coming out of the front stretch into 1 and down through 2 and 3. And everybody's tried to make challenges on him, and just not quite enough to make it around and get the position from him. So Joyner doing a good job of just running a really good line, and has made himself very, very difficult to pass.
Yeah, Zandvoort is one where outside of turn 1, you don't have many huge, heavy braking zones that will allow you to go for a good overtake. The chicane, if you try and go for a move, you're probably going to result in either a collision or one driver at least scraping the underside of their car through the gravel trap. It is a very tight section heading off through the Hanser chicane. We'll be able to see these drivers in the top 3 run their way through there right now. It's one of the heaviest braking zones around this racetrack, but it's basically a one-lane section, and you can see the gravel built up on the outside there as well. So if it was tricky enough to pull off an overtake with the marbles and the gravel on the outside on corner exit, that is definitely persuading these drivers to not play with fire heading off through there.
Yeah, obviously you're going to have to get offline in order to make your way around the car, and obviously that's going to be very difficult with all that debris out there. As we see the top three now, kind of on a little breakaway, they've got a 3.5 second gap over Sargent and P4. So it looks like this is going to end up being a 3-car battle for the win, and pit stops still yet to come for these three. As a matter of fact, I think we still got the top 12 have still yet to pit, so we're going to be pushing that. Those pit stops are going to be coming in the next 5 or 6 minutes for all the rest of the lead cars. So that may be the thing that makes or breaks a win here.
And you can see 0 stops for the entirety of the top 11. Running in P11, we haven't really talked about this too much, is your Spec 2 leader of Julian Shen. That's a very good performance for the driver of the 814 car. I haven't seen them run thus far this season, but from my experience seeing Julian run last season here on the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, he's quick in that 814 car, and granted, a falling anvil coming down to crash onto Dan Witzak's head in the 413 certainly going to help out his case, but nonetheless, Julian Shen putting on a pretty strong performance. And yet again, folks, anyone who hasn't tuned into these broadcasts before, these drivers are classed and scored based off of their overall finishing position. A P11 result means exactly the same for your Spec 2 leader of Chen as it would for a Spec 1 or Masters competitor, so that's a pretty good performance for them. Alan Degassis is your current Masters leader, running down in 17th, as we're starting to see these drivers at the front of the field run into lap traffic, and we've talked about the difficulties overtaking around here. Throw lap traffic into the realm, and you're going to see these drivers get oh so packed up.
Yeah, luckily they caught the lap traffic in a good place there coming into the final corner, so they're able to just kind of work their way through, and that car wisely kind of gets to the inside, lets them go. Tried to run with them for a little bit, but obviously not going to be there. And we're on board here with Peter Maddox coming through turn 1 into 2, taking a lot of curb there. He's coming around the high side into 3, and just I guess maybe gets up into the marbles up on the high side of that, and just kind of loses the car and a simple half spin, and is able to continue on. Luckily nobody around. But I will say, we did hear from from Guido in our ear about Halliburton's very, very quick pit stop. He is going to be in P8. He's going to end up being about 6 or 7 seconds behind the leaders if they just do a standard pit stop and there's no issues. So once they get done, he's going to be a few seconds back off of them, but he's going to pick up a couple. Guido saying that he thinks that he's going to be in the lead once the pit stops are done. We'll see. Don't know. We'll see. How about that, Guido? I'm kind of doing some mental math. I don't think that he's going to be in the lead, but he'll be up there. He'll be near the front of the field. Yep.
And again, further word, 37 seconds behind. So looking through the other drivers who have come into the pits already, high 30s, low 40s is the name of the game. The other driver with the longest run through the pits as it stands at the present moment is Paul Jackson, who spent a rather shocking time down pit lane, as here come the front three. Daniel Tufts coming in with a whole head of steam, nearly coming to blows with Joyner. That could have ended in an absolute disaster. It was a matter of inches between those two competitors. Here's Julian Chen in the number 5, in the 5th position. Third tries the charm there for that. But yeah, I got there eventually. It took me about 50 years, but here we go. That's the 5th place car, your leader in Spec 2. Coming down pit lane, Mike Sargent going to be the next car out on track in the number 88 machine. He's been a pretty quick driver in this race. It's already come down pit lane, and let's see how it'll work. Daniel Tufts out and away, Joyner out and away, Mikey Pollard out and away, side by side racing with Kenny Halliburton and Buchanan, and down into turn number 1. But Daniel Tufts and all of that having a rather quick stop, 36.5 seconds, I should say, down pit lane. Only 13 stopped in the box. That's going to allow Daniel Tufts to take the lead. As look at that, sweeping around the outside is Kane Halliburton.
Yeah, Halliburton's on a tear right now. He just clobbering the big cars around him, and he's looks like he's in P5, about 8 seconds back. So he's got another 9 minutes or so. He's been running really quick laps as well. So it would not surprise me to see him up battling for a race win before it's all said and done. Whoop, easy there.
Ooh, that was a big sideways snap for the lapped car. That right there is a 413 of Dan Witzak right in front of Daniel Tufts. That's a rather terrifying moment for Tufts. If you're leading this race, 1.5 seconds a gap between yourself and P2, and you're dealing with a lapped car that's wiggling around this racetrack like a bit of soft-set jello pulled out of the refrigerator during an earthquake, you're going to be running very uncomfortable. So Daniel Tufts in the number 34 car, still running all right, still running in the race lead, trying to find any way in the book to get past Witzak, who's a quick driver in this series, got involved in that earlier incident. Outside of that, though, if Witzak didn't get a piece of that drama, may have seen him in contention for either certainly a top 10 overall, potentially even a top 5, maybe even a podium overall if he played his ships right. He's been a fantastic driver to follow thus far this season. So as much as he is a lap down car, Daniel Tufts is going to have a bit of a trouble on his hands getting that move done.
Yeah, it's going to be up to Witzak to as we see there. He's got by, so I think Witzak may have just moved over and let him go, which is a gentlemanly thing to do. Obviously, he's not in contention for a win, so just kind of, don't ruin your own race by just slowing down, losing 5 seconds on the track. But, don't make it difficult on the leaders as they work their way through.
Still looking at these drivers as we're now in the final 10 minutes of this race, the final 8 minutes of this race right now. Daniel Tufts trying to extend that gap between himself and Ian Joyner, but it's not a very successful challenge. It's now 1.2 seconds between those two racers. I think Ian Joyner in that 8 car, he is not done and dusted from this race. As much as he had a slow run through the pits, he may still be on the comeback tour to jump his way back into the race lead. Meanwhile, we've got a 4-car pack of pandemonium. It's Mike Sargent leading over Kane Halliburton, who's trying to find any way in the book to get past Sargent in that 88 machine. You can see looking at the outside, looking at the inside, heading off through the mid-sector, down this back straightaway, off into the Hans chicane. Will we see Halliburton go for a dive? He's a very quick driver in the world of iRacing. Doesn't really matter what you put him in. He's going to be fast, and let's see how this is going to work out for Halliburton, who has been the hard charger in this race by a pretty significant margin. 25 spots gained. Holy cow.
Yeah, absolutely. He's having a great run, and he's looking to see where the pass can be made. I think he's probably going to try and use the banking to get a run coming out of the final corner, and try and power his way down to the inside, coming down the front straight, and hopefully we'll have him cleared before we get down to turn 1. He's dead even coming through to the lap car down the inside, and there's the pass made, and so he's now up to P4, and now he can set his sights out on Joyner. I'm sorry, Pollard in P3.
I will say, though, talking about Ian Joyner, he just set a cooker of a lap time last time by the fastest lap of the race at a 1:43.11, according to our live timing screen. So 43.112 to be a bit more precise. Ian Joyner is cooking it, and to do a lap like that 20 laps into this race, technically it was on lap 19, but he still get the point. They're on lap 20. Anyway, regardless, Joyner still very, very quick. That 8 car has been on rails ever since he joined this series. Won the championship in rather convincing fashion in Season 1 of 2025. Didn't show up in the first couple of weeks, but we need to heed the warning of what's happened in the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Tortullo, a very quick driver in the Weekend Warriors world, and a real-life Formula V driver. He's the 2-time reigning champion in the FV. Skipped down the first few weeks, then rejoined the series, only to return to victory lane. Ian Joyner has done the exact same. 2 very quick racers. They find themselves battling for the wins week in and week out. And with now 5 minutes left to go in this race, and probably about 3 or 4 laps left for these competitors, Ian Joyner is in the catbird seat to get a move done. It's about 0.2 of a second coming out of turn 13 through the high banks to turn 14, the final corner around this lap. And let's see if Daniel Tufts got a good enough exit. He did not. That gap is nothing. Joyner pulling alongside. Tufts going to hold on to that inside line, but Joyner with a whole head of speed on the outside line. Let's see, battle less late breakers down into turn number 1. Joyner looking to put on a move that Tufts tried on him earlier on. Let's see if that 8 machine will be able to slip in front, side by side, still into turn number 2. Coming up close, contact being made at close to top speed. That could have ended in tears between those competitors. It still results in Tufts holding on to the race lead, but Joyner is definitely getting in the head, the driver of the 34.
Yeah, Tufts did a great job there. Took a page out of Joyner's book and just kept it in there, kept it even till you got to 3, had the high line, and was able to just power his way back around. A little wheel-to-wheel contact, but obviously did not bother them in the least. They continued on, and Tufts able to hold on to the lead for this time.
Yeah, Tufts withstanding the challenge for now. There's still about 4 minutes left to go in this race, though, and Ian Joyner, he is chomping at the bit to get this move done. It's 2 cars running by their lonesome. Mikey Pollard has dropped down like a rock as of recent, and part of the reason why that is the case is because last time by, not too quick compared to some of the drivers a little bit farther up the road, and not too quick compared to his faster laps earlier on. Pollard not really showing the same pace in that number 9 car that we saw from him earlier on. Currently found himself in P3, effectively in no man's land in that number 9 car. Daniel Tufts is still leading. Joyner, I think, may have just had a bad run through the corner. No, there we go. He has the run. He has the exit. He has the momentum heading through the high banks. And let's see how this is going to work out for Tufts and Joyner. Joyner deciding to stake claim on that inside line. He's tired. He's seen enough of those moves around the outside. Driver's going for it on him. He's now going for it down the inside. Down the inside into turn at number 1 goes Joyner, and he's going to get that move done.
Yeah, great run, late break into turn 1. He's able to complete the pass, and now he's back in command, back out front, and it's gonna be very difficult to pass him in the last couple of 3 laps here.
And I wonder if Daniel Tufts is going to have anything to say about this. Ian Joyner, very quick driver. Daniel Tufts has been fast in this race, but I think Joyner may just have his number at the end of all this. You can see him hounding the back of that race car, though, down into turn number 7. Daniel Tufts is still chomping at the bit to jump back into the race lead. Any sort of mistake from Joyner may result in Tufts being able to say, hey, thank you very much, I'll take this, and slip his way back up into the race lead on track for a victory. But we've seen in seasons past, Ian Joyner can be as calm and cool as a cucumber. He's quick, and he also has that patience behind him whereby even in the heat of an intense battle, he's not really going to lose his cool.
No, he's not. He's a pretty calm customer when it comes to the racing here. And yeah, he's usually under the front when he's here, and you can see today why. He's just a really solid Formula Ford racer, and it's going to be, like I said, yeah, it's going to be tough to make the move. He's going to have to get a good run out of this final corner. You can see Tufts just pushing it as far as it can go, and we're going to have white flag when we come to the line.
Yeah, one more lap of racing action here at Zandvoort. Does Daniel Tufts have anything to say about Joyner? That gap has ballooned out now to 0.3 of a second, heading down that straightaway. As much as these Formula Ford cars aren't really the draft monsters like some of the other cars here in the Weekend Warriors, they still have a pretty strong draft, and we saw that get put on full display a few moments ago as they had their way down that start-finish stretch. Side-by-side racing involving Sammy Hendricks and Mike Sargent, the 88 car, trying to get a move done down the inside into turn number 2. Looks like he will not be successful in that challenge, at least for now. Here's the status up at the front. It's still status quo as they started the lap. Joyner and Tufts at 0.3 of a second between them still. Here's a race involving Soren Garrett and Jason Green, 2 very fast drivers in the Weekend Warriors world who have not had a fantastic race. They're battling for the final spots outside of the top 10, as I think something's going on with Sammy Hendricks. This is either some sort of disconnect or he's crashed out from a top 5 spot. Something's going on with him. He's dropped now down to 14th, 15th, 16th soon. Sammy Hendricks getting struck by a falling anvil in the last stages of this race. Not sure what happened to him. They need to load up a replay after we grab this checkered flag. Ian Joyner, though, heading down the backstretch, down into the Hans Ur chicane for the last time. It's still a rather big cushion between himself and Daniel Tufts. 0.3 of a second to be a bit more precise between these competitors. Tufts really deep into the braking zone through the chicane for the final time. He's looking to find something. He's looking to make something work in the late stages of this race. But as they head their way off into turn 13, it's going to have to be a bad run from Joyner and a great run from Tufts to try and have a swap-a-roo. Not going to get that as they both run wide off into the gravel. Tufts just not going to have the head of speed at the end of this race. Ian Joyner had to come back from a slightly slow stop. Joyner going to win his 2nd race in a row, 2nd win of the season, continuing on that streak. Well done to Joyner. That was a race win that he had to fight for.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job by Joyner to get the win. Did have to battle back a little bit and made the right move at the right time to get back to the lead And once he got there, wasn't really anybody going to just do anything with it. Great job by Halliburton, up 26 positions to finish in fourth, just missing the podium by 0.8 of a second behind Pollard. Tufts, great run as well. Kept Joyner honest the entire race, and did a great job throughout.
And what a race at the end of it all. We're going to see these drivers do their typical Weekend Warriors driver tradition and burn it down at the end of this race. And by burn it down, they mean give nightmares to their fabricators and absolutely tear the crap out of their race car. Anyone who hasn't tuned into these broadcasts before, you're going to be in for quite a spectacle once we see a Formula 4 car strike the moon. But as we see some few more cars cross the line, here's Andrew Hurts in the number 42 car. This actually, no, he hasn't crossed the line yet in the 42 car, so he's at a gas, heading down into the chicane. This is going to be a heartbreaker for Hurts, and he stops, and I think he's going to tow. Andrew Hurts is towed back to the pits. He is out of it here today, running out of gas in the dying breaths of this race. That's going to allow Jason Grider to be the last of the cars to cross that start-finish line, finishing in P19. That is P2 in Spec 2 as well for Jason Grider in the 552 machine. Julian Chen was your winner at the end of it all. The third driver to grab a win thus far in Spec 2. Alan DeGassis was your winner at the end of it all in Masters. And as they've all crossed that start-finish line, let's see him burn it down. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So we're done with the car. We don't need any more. We'll load it back up again next week. So let's go ahead and just destroy them now. And that's what they seem to be doing.
And Jason Green running backwards through the runoff area on the outside of turn number 1. I think there's something that may be going on. Oh, God, that right there was Paul Jackson coming in. And Joyner now going to be parked underneath of Jason Green's race car, as we could see those two cars linked together. Some rather bizarre physics things, whatever you want to call it, going on here in the Formula Fords. iRacing, the #1 motorsports simulator, and also the #1 generation, the generator of some bizarre moments. That's beautiful.
That is the model when you've got suspension broke on that side of the car. The tire just submerges itself into the earth, and that is the end of that. And yeah, this is part and parcel, as you can see.
Conga line foreman.
Yeah, is that Jason Grider? I think.
Yep.
Yeah, so JG1 pushing JG2 and mounting another car, and they continue on, and Grider just keeps pushing, and got a tire that's 45 degrees off camber, but that's fine. It's okay.
I'm not really sure what we're seeing. I'm not really sure if it is something that can be shown on a broadcast. It looks like some National Geographic stuff at the end of all that. But nonetheless, that's the action here from the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors here at Zandvoort. We're going to hear once again from our sponsor of today's broadcast, Alameda Racing Academy. And we'll be right back with some interviews and some results to wrap things up from the first half of this season.
Most racing drivers don't improve because they don't know exactly what to fix. If you relate to that, this ad is for you. Because I have an online course that solves that. It's called the Motor Racing Checklist. 50 structured lessons that show you exactly how to improve your technique. You stop guessing and you start following a professional system. And if you don't improve in 28 days, you get your money back. This is how 11,000 of our student drivers made progress. Now it's your turn.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting's coverage of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors here at Zandvoort, the 6th round of this championship, and for the second week in a row, Ian Joyner is your race winner in that Spec 1 category. He put on a rather good performance at the end of the day. He grabbed 2 pole positions in a row in consecutive weeks, and he's going to grab 2 consecutive wins, the 3rd driver to do that in the Spec 1 category thus far this season. We're going to stall a little bit here, Charles, as we wait for some of these drivers to have a chat with us at the end of this race. A pretty good one here at Zandvoort. Oh, as I think we might have lost our buddy, Mr. Charles Boshell. Oh, Charles,
Or,
do we have you back now?
or he just muted his mic during the commercial and forgot to unmute it. I mean, it happens, right?
No, don't
So
worry.
no, it was a good race. We had a nice, good 10-car battle up front for the first half of the race. Then you just kind of could see the top three there battling until we got to the pit stops. We kind of lost Pollard off the end of that, but Tufts and Joyner, good battle all the way to the end of the race, and a great win by Joyner. Obviously, I don't think we don't come to Zandvoort very often, so obviously a little bit of a learning curve here, and you could see some issues amongst the drivers during the race, but obviously it's just part of racing, right? So it was good battles, and it was a good race overall.
Pretty good one at the end of it all here today, and I think we have the chance to have some interviews at the end of all this, and I believe the first driver we will get a chance to have a chat with is going to be our Spec 2 winner at the end of this race, Julian Chen, now joining us here in the commentary booth. Julian, congratulations on the win here at Zandvoort today, your first in that Spec 2 category this year. How about you talk us through this race here at Zandvoort? Julian, you have a copy here? Your mic's muted in Discord. Do we?
Hello.
Oh, there we go. Now we got you. How's it going?
Good.
And I was just saying, it's your first Spec 2 win of this season. A pretty strong performance here at Zandvoort. How about you talk us through that race?
I actually wasn't sure if I saw Tegan's car number in front was 800 something, I think, and so I thought he was Spec 2. But is he Spec 1?
According to the graphics that we have today, which I believe were approved by some of the admins, I believe he is actually Spec 1, just maybe with a misnumbered car. So based off everything that we saw, you are the Spec 2 winner. So well done on the
cool.
Spec 2 win.
Well, thanks. I didn't know. I just I don't really do this league. I did, I think, 2 races in the Formula V Weekend Warrior like a couple months ago, and then I also did one Formula Ford race like at Tsukuba a couple seasons ago. But yeah, I just hopped in today because I kind of felt like it. I knew that this league has really strong competition, and just wanted to see where I stack up against them, but most of the Spec 1 racers in front were too quick. So after once I navigated the start, which was pretty nerve-wracking, going through turn 1, 2, 3, and then having to avoid wrecks in front. But then after that, I was sort of just a little bit too slow to stay in the draft of the Spec 1 racers ahead. But then also it was a pretty lonely race after the start. Basically, nobody behind caught up, even though I think they were maybe faster than me, but I was trying to just drive consistently. And I saw the relative to the cars behind kind of grow and shrink as they were maybe battling behind, but just kind of did my thing. That's it.
So pretty good performance here for you at Zandvoort, grabbing that Spec 2 win, and fingers crossed we'll be able to see you in the future here in the Weekend Warriors world, because from the few appearances that you have made, you're a very quick driver, and hope to see you back out here soon. Next round of the championship is going to be at Laguna Seca. Will you be out there by any chance, or maybe
Laguna Seca. I do like Laguna Seca, so maybe I'll be there. Yep, and maybe next season, because we probably get more non-UK tracks next season. I've been kind of avoiding Formula Ford officials because I don't own most of the UK tracks the past 2 seasons. But next season, maybe I'll do more. Or next race sounds interesting as well. At Laguna, yep.
I will actually say, in reference to next season's schedule here for the Formula Fords, I actually got some word about that, and apparently only going to have 2 UK tracks from what I saw, so that's going to be pretty nice. We have visited the UK so much, I think I may need to get some dental work done at the end of this season. But Julian, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth, and before we let you go and celebrate this Spec 2 win, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Well, I would like to give shout out to Guido and Ethan. They actually raced with me in another league we do on Thursday nights. So I've been racing against them a bunch, and also Michelle Lynn. Yep, I guess those people shout out. Oh yeah. There's too many Jasons here already. I'll just it's fine.
We're gonna have
That's my
2
nickname.
JGs, a couple of JCs. We're just gonna have just about every single Jason you could possibly imagine. So may need to rename this series to the Jason League. But hey, Julian, Jason, which one do you prefer? Do you want me to call you Jason or Julian?
Jason would be nice. Yeah. No,
Alrighty.
not many people can pronounce Ti Yun well with the intonations in Chinese.
I can barely pronounce English names, so don't worry, it's all good. But Jason, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth, and excited to see you back out on the racetrack hopefully soon.
All right. Thanks for broadcasting, and thanks for having me.
And thank you very much. That right there was Jason Shen, your winner in the Spec 2 category. And Charles, we also have our Spec 1 winner winning 2 weeks in a row, Ian Joyner, up there in the interview waiting area.
Yeah, let's bring Ian in and we'll have an interview with him and we'll talk about this race. Ian, congratulations. Back-to-back wins here in the Formula Ford. Looked like it was a pretty tough battle up at the front of the grid this week.
Yeah, there was nowhere tied on that one. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was just fairly relentless, really. I was watching sort of fuel all the way through. I've been working out what I need to do fuel-wise, and I just had no chance because there's constantly no fuel saving at all. Just probably most laps side by side into T1. But yeah, managed to keep it in front. Wasn't massively shocked that either Daniel or Mikey would get a position in the pits. But fortunately managed to take it back, make it stick. That sounds easy, really, but yeah, it was a lot of close calls.
I was going to say, it didn't look so easy from up here. So
yeah, side by side ones through the carousels, which is it's just so dangerous through there, but survive. So yeah, good. Definitely felt a good one to go over the line.
Yeah, so we did see a few issues in that turn 3 carousel. People trying different lines and it just not working the way that they drew it up on paper before they went into the corner. But you guys did a good job. Obviously, the high line seemed like that was the best way around. Keep your momentum up and just carry it around through the high bank of the corner. Everybody that tried to take it down to the bottom, just kind of feels like they just kind of bound the car up a little bit.
Yeah, you don't want to be down there unless something's gone really wrong. It's just the bank is not there. The car binds up. Good chance you'll spin or just slide up the banking.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we see people like Fernando Alonso taking it down there, but we don't have 1,000 horsepower in these cars to power your way through the corner. So yeah, it didn't quite work out. So I guess I'm trying to think if there's anything I want to ask you. So far we've got 2 weeks in a row. So what's your schedule looking like for the rest of the season? Are you going to be back with us for a few more races?
Yeah, I know I'm not doing the whole season, but I think I'm going to be around for potentially the rest of the remaining now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, definitely most of them. I'll commit to most of them.
There you go. All right, Ian. Well, congratulations on another win, and we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs that you want to, and we'll let you go celebrate.
Yeah, thanks to you guys as ever for the brilliant coverage. Got to shout out the Almeida Racing Academy as well. Despite I didn't realise I mentioned them last week, and then the announcement followed it, and that they were sponsoring. So that's kind of cool. I've been in their academy now and racing in their league, which has been really good. Great coaches, great environment, and a bunch of them came today. I know Kane had unfortunately had a bit of a rough time from the starting from the back, or he would definitely have been in there. So yeah, shout out to those guys. Definitely the practice and some of the coaching with them helped with the wheel-to-wheel stuff today. And shout out to my wife as well, who helped with the pit strategy today.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Excellent.
So she's handling the pits, and so that works out. So just keep everything at home, and everything will be good, right? So it's always good to have some additional assistance when you need it. So Ian, congratulations, and we'll see you in the near future.
Cheers, guys. See you soon.
All right. Thank you.
And that right there was Ian Joyner, the winner at the end of this race. Second time that we have had him win this season, doing it back-to-back. Before then, it was Rasmus Vori winning back-to-back, and before him, it was Felix Samoas winning back-to-back. I don't know what it is with that Spec 1 category, but in the first half of the season, it has been a story of drivers winning back-to-back and then promptly getting struck by a falling anvil. So I'm sure he's going to be bringing his umbrella for the next race of the season at Laguna Seca. The Formula Vs are also going to be running there as well, so it's going to be a bit of a Laguna sweep for the Formula cars this upcoming weekend here, Charles.
Oh, that'll be fun. Laguna, obviously one of those classic tracks, base content in iRacing, and so everybody should have plenty of opportunities to get familiar with that. And I'd be looking forward to a really good race, and we'll see how many incidents we have in the corkscrew next week.
I think I said this in reference to the interview with Jason Green at the end of that Formula V broadcast yesterday here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, that I am terrified to see what sort of jump shenanigans they do into the corkscrew. That's probably going to end up as a clip on the YouTube shorts here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And, speaking of the shorts here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, how about you check it out? It gives you a good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the shorts and never miss out on the broadcast. We've got that Spec Racer Ford race coming up later on this afternoon, and hopefully all of you tuning into this broadcast today will be able to catch not just the Weekend Warriors, but all of the action here on SMB as we continue our journey through Season 2 of 2025. We're now officially halfway through the Formula Vs and the Formula Fords. Got round number 6 of the Spec Racer Fords coming up later on this afternoon. But as for this broadcast today, for the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, I forgot. We need to take a look at some results at the end of all of this. I'm so used to doing the results then the interviews. I'm still having to rewire my brain a little bit. Ian Joyner is your race winner at the end of it all. Daniel Tuffs going to finish in second. Mikey Pollard will finish in P3. Kane Halliburton will finish in fourth. Mike Sargent rounding out your top 5. We have Edward Buchanan in 6th. Jared Rodmaker finishing in P7. Rasmus Vori in P8. Greg Hobler in 9th. And then Teague Ashburn riding out our top 10.
Yeah, go ahead, Ron, because I already had shifted. I'm sorry about that. So,
yeah, fair enough. It's all right. We have Michael McConnell finishing in P11, Soren Garrett in 12th, Jason Green in P13, Alan DeGassis in 14th, Julian Shen finishes in P15. We have Sean Doyle in 16th, Andrew Love in 17th, Ethan Orr in P18, Jason Grider in 19th, Sammy Hendricks is classed in 20th. Lots of these other drivers finished one lap down at the end of this race. That list continues on with the likes of Andrew Hurd, Dan Witzak, Josh Wilkie, Juan Garcia, Frederick Drews, Paul Jackson in 26th, Russell Tucker in 27th, Peter Maddox in 28th, Kane Lasky in 29th, Chris Montgomery in 30th, Antonio Reese in 31st, Felix Samoas finishing in P32. Ran into some difficulties earlier on and is classed in last, not the way that he wanted to keep this season going on. Now with that squared away, we can wrap things up. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the commentary booth, and Guido Marzucchi working on the cameras in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for watching this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.
6 years ago, this was my simulator. Now, I'm a Radical US champion and IMSA driver. My technique in the simulator is what brought me here. Now, I created the Almeida Racing Academy, a place where members can participate in weekly broadcasted championship races, practice sessions, coaching workshops, and much more. We already have 11,000 students in the academy, and we're growing faster than ever. Our membership gives you everything you need every week to improve consistently and become a competitive driver. So join now as a member, and I will see you on track.